What if everything you thought about this story is completely wrong? And right now, a silent takeover is already happening behind the scenes. The money is drying up, the power is shifting, and someone new might be ready to take it all. And if you want the real truth before everyone else hits it, make sure you subscribe right now, because this is where the story actually gets exposed. What if everything you thought was stable was actually built on something slowly fading away? What if the image of control, strength, and leadership was only convincing as long as the support system stayed intact? Because for years, the story looked clear. A central figure guiding a complex family, making decisions, setting direction, and holding everything together. But beneath that surface, something much more fragile was forming. Something dependent on balance, on cooperation, on continuous contribution from multiple sides. And the moment that balance began to shift, everything else followed. Because systems like this do not collapse all at once. They weaken quietly, piece by piece, until one day the pressure becomes impossible to ignore. And that is exactly where things appear to be now. A moment where the past structure no longer matches the present reality, where expectations remain high, but the resources to support them are no longer the same. And the difference between perception and truth becomes impossible to hide. Because when several contributors step away, what remains must either adapt or struggle. And adaptation is never easy when habits are deeply rooted and decisions have already been made based on a completely different reality. And this is where the tension begins to rise, not in loud, dramatic moments, but in quiet, undeniable facts, numbers that no longer add up, responsibilities that no longer have enough support, and a lifestyle that was designed for many now resting on far fewer shoulders. And as this shift continues, the question becomes more urgent. Not what happened in the past, but what happens next. Because the future depends entirely on how this moment is handled, whether it is faced directly or delayed until the consequences become unavoidable. And right now, everything suggests that the situation is reaching a point where delay is no longer an option. Because financial pressure does not wait, and once it begins to build, it demands action, whether that action is planned or forced. And in situations like this, timing becomes everything, because those who recognize the shift early have options, while those who wait too long often find themselves reacting instead of leading. And that difference can change the entire outcome. Because control is not just about authority, it is about awareness, about understanding when conditions have changed and adjusting before the situation takes control on its own. And if that adjustment does not happen, the system begins to correct itself in ways that are often uncomfortable and unpredictable. Because reality does not bend to expectation. It moves forward based on what is actually sustainable and what is not. And right now, sustainability is the question that sits at the center of everything. Because maintaining a structure built from multiple contributors with fewer participants creates strain that grows over time, not instantly, but steadily, until it reaches a point where something has to give. And when that moment arrives, it does not ask for permission. It simply unfolds, and the impact is felt across every part of the system, from financial stability to emotional balance to long-term planning, because everything is connected. And when one part weakens, the rest must compensate or adjust. And if they cannot, then the entire structure begins to shift into something new, something that may look very different from what was originally intended. And that transformation is not always negative, but it is always significant, because it marks the end of one phase and the beginning of another. And the challenge lies in navigating that transition without losing everything that was built before. And that requires clarity, honesty, and sometimes difficult decisions that cannot be avoided, because ignoring them only increases the cost later. And this is where the narrative becomes more intense, because the gap between what was expected and what is actually happening continues to grow, creating uncertainty that affects every decision moving forward. Because without clear alignment, the path ahead becomes harder to define. And when multiple stakeholders are involved, each with their own perspective, their own priorities, and their own expectations, the complexity increases even further. Because agreement is no longer guaranteed, and compromise becomes necessary. But compromise requires willingness, and when emotions are involved, that willingness is not always easy to find. And this is where external factors begin to play a larger role, because when internal alignment weakens, outside influences gain more importance, whether in the form of financial opportunities, legal processes, or new participants who bring different skills, different resources, and different approaches. And those new variables can change the direction of everything because they introduce possibilities that were not part of the original plan. And sometimes those possibilities create solutions, but other times they create competition. And when competition enters a situation that was previously based on cooperation, the dynamics shift immediately, because now the focus is not just on maintaining what exists, but on determining who has the ability to shape what comes next. And that is a very different challenge, because it requires not just maintaining position, but actively securing it through decisions that carry long-term consequences. And those decisions are rarely simple because they must balance short-term needs with long-term outcomes. And in moments like this, the pressure to act quickly can conflict with the need to act wisely. And that tension is where many mistakes are made, because urgency can lead to choices that solve immediate problems but create larger ones down the line. And avoiding that requires a level of discipline and foresight that is not always easy to maintain, especially when the situation feels uncertain and the stakes are high. Because uncertainty creates stress, and stress influences judgment. And when judgment is affected, the risk of making the wrong move increases significantly. And that is why moments like this are so critical, because they test not just the strength of the system, but the ability of those within it to respond effectively to changing conditions. And effective response is not just about action, it is about timing, strategy, and understanding the full scope of the situation, including factors that may not be immediately visible, because often the most important elements are the ones that operate quietly in the background, shaping outcomes without drawing attention until the moment they become impossible to ignore. And by then, the opportunity to influence them may already be limited. And this is what makes the current situation so compelling, because it is not just about what is happening on the surface, it's about what may be developing beneath it, the conversations that are not public, the evaluations that are being made, the strategies that are being considered, and the potential moves that could redefine everything in a very short period of time. Because when conditions align in a certain way, change can happen rapidly, transforming what once seemed stable into something entirely different. And the key question is, who is prepared for that transformation? Who is anticipating it? And who is positioned to benefit from it? Because in any situation where assets, decisions, and timing intersect, there is always an opportunity for someone to step forward and reshape the outcome. And whether that opportunity is recognized or missed often determines who moves forward and who is left trying to catch up. And right now, it feels like the situation is approaching that exact point where preparation meets opportunity, and the next move will not just influence the immediate future, but potentially define the entire trajectory from this moment onward. As the pressure continues to build, the situation begins to move beyond quiet tension and into something far more decisive. Because there comes a point in every complex structure where maintaining the status quo is no longer possible, and that point does not arrive with a warning. It arrives through a series of realizations that cannot be ignored, responsibilities that cannot be delayed, and numbers that refuse to cooperate with expectation. And when that moment arrives, it forces a shift from intention to action, because plans that once felt flexible suddenly become urgent, and decisions that were postponed now demand immediate attention. And this is where the true nature of the system is revealed, not through words or promises, but through outcomes, through the ability to adapt under pressure, through the willingness to make difficult choices, and through the capacity to recognize when a strategy is no longer working, because continuing down a path that no longer aligns with reality only accelerates the challenges ahead. And as this realization sets in, the focus begins to change from maintaining control to preserving stability, because control requires influence, while stability requires balance. And balance becomes increasingly difficult when the variables continue to change. And one of the most significant changes in this situation is the introduction of new dynamics that were not part of the original framework. Because when new individuals, new perspectives, and new resources enter the equation, they bring with them a different approach, one that is often based on experience in areas that were previously uncertain. And this creates a contrast between what was imagined and what can actually be executed, because execution depends on knowledge, on infrastructure, and on the ability to move from concept to completion without hesitation. And when that ability is present, it shifts the momentum of the entire situation, because progress begins to replace delay and clarity begins to replace confusion. And this is where the balance of power can begin to move, because influence is not static. It evolves based on who can deliver results and who cannot. And when results become the primary measure, perception quickly follows, because outcomes speak louder than narratives. And as these outcomes start to take shape, they create a ripple effect that extends beyond the immediate situation, influencing decisions, influencing relationships, and influencing the direction of everything that follows. Because once progress is visible, it becomes difficult to ignore, and those who were uncertain begin to reassess their positions, looking for alignment with what appears stable and sustainable. And this process of realignment is one of the most critical phases in any transition, because it determines where support will flow and where it will withdraw. And support is the foundation of any long-term structure. Without it, even the strongest plans struggle to succeed, and with it, even complex challenges can be overcome. And this is why the current moment feels so pivotal, because the distribution of support is shifting, not dramatically, but steadily, as individuals evaluate their options, consider their interests, and make decisions based on what they believe will provide the most security and the most opportunity moving forward. And these decisions are rarely made in isolation. They are influenced by conversations, by observations, and by the broader context of what is unfolding. Because people respond to patterns, they respond to consistency, and they respond to evidence. And when the evidence begins to point in a new direction, it creates momentum that can carry the situation forward regardless of past expectations. And as this momentum builds, it introduces a new layer of complexity, because now the focus is not just on resolving existing challenges, but on navigating emerging opportunities that come with their own risks, their own rewards, and their own requirements for success. And this is where strategy becomes essential, because opportunities without strategy often lead to missed potential, while strategy without opportunity leads to stagnation. And the balance between the two, a resolution that reflects not just the circumstances of the present, but the cumulative impact of everything that came before and everything that was done in response to it. And that is what makes this phase so significant, because it is not just about navigating a challenge, it is about defining the future. And the way in which these decisions are made will determine